All right, back on this thing. So hopefully that video is good and safe so you guys can review it a little bit later and take some notes or whatever you got to do. All right, so if you guys had questions that I didn't answer, post them back up again, and I'll make sure to answer those questions at the end of what I finished saying right here. So like I was saying, some of the other services I'm going to offer: one-on-one video, group workouts, Facebook VIP group. I think it's really important for you guys to make sure that you are training together and talking to each other. One of the most important things to me, and I always tell the guys, is get to know the people that you're going through Indoc with. When I went through Indoc, I didn't meet them until I got there, but they're some of the best friends that I'm ever going to have for the rest of my life. I can see, if I see one of them on the streets again, you know, it's just like we're back at Indoc, we're the same guys, we're the same everything, and we can just talk to each other. I went to my buddy's wedding last year that I graduated Indoc with after not seeing him for probably 6 years. And it was just like the same again. So invest in each other. Seriously, this is going to be the best friends that you're ever going to make in your entire life. So that's why I think it's important to have you guys link up now. You can compare with each other, and you can depend on each other whenever you guys get on the gunno and you're doing your 10-ups. You feel like you're going to pass out, and you see your buddy actually pass out, and you're like, holy crap, this is really happening right now. So I want to make sure that you guys are good to go. Let's see. Some of the other stuff, I'm going to put out my workouts on December 1st. And so some of the other things that for equipment you guys should think about having. So I'm trying to have it so I know guys get bored, or guys and girls get bored with whatever kind of workouts they're doing, because it's just so long, it's so repetitive, and a lot of workouts just replicate the same day every single week or whatever. And I want to not be like that. So I'm trying to use it so you have to go to a gym. There's going to be gym workouts with weights and that kind of stuff. But some of the other equipment that you guys will need is a sandbag, a weight vest, fins, mask, snorkel, cargo pants, foam roller, and a lacrosse ball. So let me start at the top. Sandbag, working out for myself operationally and as an instructor, I used a bag of salt, like a 50-pound bag of salt that you get from wherever, that you put inside of the water softeners. So I use that. I carry it around my neighborhood. I wear my weight vest, or really, if you're active duty military and you have a TAC vest or LBE, whatever you guys call it, you can wear that. So I've been wearing that around my neighborhood and carrying a bag of salt or sand or whatever it is. People kind of think I'm weird, but that's pretty much as functional as you can get. You're using your body weight along with the weight vest, carrying something on your shoulders. It doesn't have handles. It's hard to carry. It's real life stuff. Whenever you pick up a patient, they're not going to have handles on them. They're not going to have whatever to help you carry it. You got to use what you got. So that's why I think the sandbag is really important. Also, it kind of simulates using a training aid, which you're going to do in Indoc. Training aid is like the log, the pole, the rail, all that kind of stuff that we give you guys. Also helps you for your ruck, your run. There's so many benefits. Your core strength. So I think sandbag workouts are really important for you guys that are getting ready to go to Indoc. All right, and then the weight vest. Obviously, I like to train how I fight. You can ask any of the guys. I know some of these guys that are on here that were on my team before, PJs and Crows. They've seen me run with weight vests on. I've run 6 to 8 miles with my weight vest on. Weight vest is 20 to 25 pounds. The one I was wearing when I was deployed was 30 pounds, but I think it's really important to train how you fight. So when you get into whatever it is, the apprentice course, and you have already been training with a weight vest, you're going to outperform all the rest of the guys that are out there, and you're obviously going to be one of the best physically operators. Now, I can't train you in everything else that goes into it because this is just getting ready for Indoc, but I think it's really important for you guys to wear a weight vest, especially those guys who are smaller and just need to catch up with the rest of the team. Like, I wear a weight vest because I weigh 170 pounds. There are guys on my team right now who weigh 220 pounds or whatever it is. I need to be able to be as strong as them. I need to lift up that guy whenever he get shot or whatever happens, I need to be able to lift up that guy. So rather than say I'm too small or whatever, I wear a weight vest and I train as if I were over 200 pounds. So that's why I think it's important for you guys. All right, obviously fins, mask, snorkel, that's important. Cargo pants, that's important just to get you used to running with pants on. A lot of guys get chafage whenever they're in the Indoc course. So if you're training like that before, then hopefully you don't get as many problems with that. A foam roller and lacrosse ball, these are really important. If you guys don't have this implemented into your daily routine right now, even if you don't do any of my workouts or any of that kind of stuff, please just get the foam roller lacrosse ball so that you guys can roll out. Get some of that acid and all the buildup of stuff in your muscles and recover faster. So, and I'm going to have videos and stuff of that. So you can make sure that you guys are doing that. All right. That was all the things that I want to talk about on this video session. So let me get up here and see what you guys are asking so I can get to some of your questions. JB22, if I start the process of joining the Air Force, will I have enough time to complete the course before I ship off to basic? It depends on what time you're going to ship out. It's going to be an 18-week course, so approximately 4 months of the course. If you can't do a portion of it, then you can always take out some of the first couple weeks, something like that. But typically what I see from guys who are joining, it takes about 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer, to get in through the MEP program, that kind of stuff. If anybody is going through the process or is about to go to Indoc and wants to write down how long it took them, then let them know. Little Sea Dog, if you are disqualified from PJ due to eyesight, can you cross-train after eye surgery? Yes, you can, as long as your vision is correctable to 20/20. And you can see color. Tyler Robinson, I have a couple years before I have to chance at an asthma waiver. Should I get my paramedic cert through that time to help stand out? No, it doesn't matter. I'd rather really you focus on working out and doing whatever else, take vacations, that kind of stuff. Paramedic cert, don't spend your own money on it. You're going to go through paramedic school whenever you graduate the rest of the schools, right before you get into the apprentice course. So don't waste your money, don't waste your time. You will be just fine doing that. And we don't have like a board or anything like that based on like this guy has a degree, this guy has a paramedic cert or any of that kind of stuff. We don't have any of that kind of stuff. It's just make it through Indoc and then you'll be good to go. Let's see. Jay Rowland. Is he on here? How much is my program? So for the 18-week program, it's going to include one video that you can send in, 3 minutes tops, and it's going to be just under $200. Opinion on female operators, pros and cons for Haley Luker. It's kind of hard for me to think about how it's going to be with a female operator. I know that there are women that are definitely strong enough. There are women that are definitely stronger than I am out there, and they can pass the physical course. From what I've seen, the hardest part for women is doing the ruck, doing the weighted exercises like the buddy carries and that kind of stuff. And then also injuries. It seems like, I don't know what it is, but they're more prone to injuries. So we'll see how that goes on there. I think that obviously they can do the job, they can do whatever. It's kind of hard to think about the dynamic of if there was a woman deployed with me in certain situations, like we were all sleeping in the same tent, we were just like changing in front of each other and that kind of stuff. and a lot of the guys that join pararescue are fairly young, so I think the hardest part is going to be the social type of aspect. I mean, obviously, if a girl makes it through, she's going to be in shape, and she's going to be like pretty good looking because she's in shape, so it's going to be hard to see that social aspect of it. But for getting through Indoc, I think that there's definitely a girl out there that can do it, that can get through, and I'm more than willing to help out with whatever you guys need help with. I'm going to help somebody locally here next month, and a guy that's local, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm trying to do that so that I can get a little bit more familiar with if there are any differences in how to train a woman versus a man, so because I've never experienced that before. So more to follow on that, but I'll keep you guys updated. P-Mitch, recovering from broken clavicle, loss of strength in my back. Can't do a pull-up at the moment. Any suggestions on ways to build back up pull-ups? Yeah, so I broke my shoulder and dislocated it. I broke a bone in there, dislocated it, tore some tendons, tore my labia, labrum, and the way that I got that back was kind of just slowly working up with my arms, kind of doing this thing like I'm ready to party or whatever. There's a little wheel with strings on it that you use to just get your mobility back and pull your other arm. Your other arm pulls your first arm. So go to the physical therapist and see if they can help you with that. So doing some of that stuff as you work up, just hanging on the bar for a while, or just lifting your arms up to the side is going to get you back up. You're trying to tear away all that scar tissue that you got going on. Yeah, so you'll be good to go. I could do pulls with 90 pounds on me now, so you will recover. Yes, if you can. So for manual ND, if you guys can pass Indoc, you can pass the TAC-P program. The only thing about TAC-P is that you're doing a little bit more rucking. So I'll do an extra couple rucks on the side or whatever. But if you can pass the pararescue program or the Indoc, then you can pass any of the other programs that are in the battlefield area. Guaranteed. Let's see. Real Trey Booth. Army Combat Medic, a good stepping stone to be a PJ. Yeah, really, you have people that are in PJ from all kind of walks of life. You have Dartmouth grads, Harvard grads, you have guys who are just off the street like me or whatever. You have guys that own their own businesses. You have guys that worked on railroads. You just have every kind of guy that's out there, like pro athletes, all that kind of stuff. So it's not really like you need any kind of stepping stones unless you needed an avenue to mature a little bit more. We see some guys that have difficulty in the beginning, like when they're younger, they just end up quitting and that kind of stuff. So I just want to make sure that you're mature enough to not make impulsive decisions. Let's see. Caleb Farley, training for pararescue helo pilots. There's not specific pararescue helo pilots, even though they're mostly attached to us, but there are rescue pilots, and they go through, we train with them, and they train together, and they go over scenarios on how to do a 9-line and how to approach a landing zone, different types of tactics on who's going to go in first, how you're going to pick up the patient, how to get space in there, how to shoot the guns, what different kinds of smoke signals mean what, and that kind of stuff. So I can't get too much into it, but they're definitely more extensive than the regular helicopter pilots. Matt Hudak, Steve Smith's Guide to Passing the Past. I haven't seen too much about Steve Smith or what he's doing or whatever, but I glanced over it and it just doesn't it doesn't give you the actual past standards, so I'd be a little bit careful on that. If you do this program, just read my website first. It'll be free. You can just read the past standards. They'll be on there so that you're actually practicing to that. Uber Day 5000, nutrition, supplements. The nutrition part, I am going to do that, but it's going to be a little while until I get that updated because I'm kind of doing this by myself and trying to update all this stuff. It's kind of a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure that it's the right thing. So this guy said he's been waiting months just to go to MEPS. Just for the other guy who asked the question about how long it takes to get into the program or into the Air Force. JB22, this is a good question. How many opportunities do you get at Indoc in the pipeline? So once you arrive to development course and Indoc, that's when your time really starts. If you fail development course, there have been guys who got set back because of development course, but it's a real rarity. You have to have the right attitude, be the right person. It has to be like an extenuating circumstance where it would be difficult for anybody to actually pass in your circumstances. So you will get another chance if the instructors and the commandant feel as though you deserve another chance. And the only way you deserve that is if you work your butt off the entire time. We see that you're constantly trying to help out the team. You're constantly trying to do everything that it takes. You're snapping at attention when you're talking to instructors and that kind of thing. So that's really what it takes to get a setback. Not just us liking you, but you also showing a track record of just being a squared away dude or girl. But I've seen guys get a third chance while they were there. It's really, really rare to get that. Most of the guys will get a second chance at doing Indoc. And then if you SIE while you're at Indoc, you can come back another year and a half. After you retrain, you come back. There's no limit on how many times you can do that. We can't deny you coming back after a year and a half. So hopefully you matured a little bit at that point, and you can come back and crush the course. Resilient strength, how many fin swim workouts should you be doing per week? So for fin swim, at Indoc, you're doing it every day. On my workouts, you're doing it about 3 times per week. You want to swim up to at least probably around 7,000 to 9,000 meters per week would be the preferred, just so that you're completely, it also helps with your water confidence and breathing, that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to get you guys in the pool as much as possible. If you can do it almost every day, there's going to be probably one day where you don't go to the pool for me, but I think it's really important to get you guys in the pool, get comfortable in the pool, because a lot of your time and a lot of the worst times at Indoc are going to be at the pool. So get there as much as possible. Ryan B58, working on cross training for a second time within 18 months. I keep hearing this, but I can't find any evidence. We have a guy currently that is going through Indoc that has cross trained, or he came, quit, went out, cross trained, and then came back again. So it happens. I don't know if any of the recruiters or anything can shed some light on this. The only thing that I know on my part, what I've done is I'm going to get a form called the 125 Alpha that states that you're allowed to come back to Indoc based on whatever the commandant said at the time when you SIE'd, and then they send it over to the liaison. So that's the only thing I can tell you about that. Adolphson program will be just under $200 for the 18-week program, and around just under probably around $80 for the other program if you don't pass the past. Currently, okay. John Masil, can pool training be supplemented for something else? Deployment coming up, and I don't know if they have a pool there. You kind of, it's kind of hard to replicate what happens in the pool. So what I would recommend is doing like CO2 tables, that kind of stuff, just so that you get the experience of being a little bit hypoxic. Maybe get a SpO2 monitor or an oxygen saturation monitor, how it's also called, so that you can monitor. You put it on your finger, basically. It's what paramedics use. And then you can hold your breath for a little bit. Once you get down to 95% or whatever it is, it measures the oxygen saturation of your hemoglobin. So you can see after you're holding your breath for 2 minutes or whatever it is, you end up being at 95%. And then after you work out, you get in better shape. After 2 minutes, you're at 96 or 97%. So you can kind of see where you're at. Really, in Indoc, you're not going to be holding your breath for longer than 2 minutes. So you shouldn't have to do that. Leukopotamus. How hard is it to transfer from being a guard PJ to going active duty? It's actually pretty hard to go active duty from the guard. It's fairly easy to go active duty to the guard, but the other way around is pretty difficult. So let's see. Andy Ventura, 59. How much time is spent training while not being deployed? All of your time is spent training while you're not deployed. So when I was at Mildenhall over in England, it was about, I got 3 deployments during that time in 4 years. So those were 4 months each, and in between that time, I was gone, for a total of around 300 days out of the year, just TDY, training, just doing all that kind of stuff, even local training. So you're constantly training at everything. I mean, you have to cover everything from swiftwater rescue to mountain rescue to jump ops, regular airborne ops, throwing bundles of the quads out of the back of the airplane, throwing a bundle of the arcs. You have to know how to build all those bundles. You have to there's just a lot that goes into being a PJ. I mean, we're called the jack of all trades, so that we can take whatever situation and rescue people. Reaper Ninja, besides Indoc and dive school, what's another school people have trouble passing? Paramedic school is one of the other things that eliminates guys because they just don't have the study habits down. When I was in paramedic school, you ended up going to work for about 8 hours or so, and then coming home, eating dinner, and then studying for another 3 hours after you're done with school. So it's kind of time intensive, and it's a little bit difficult for guys to stay on schedule. Dan Melvs, what's the biggest thing you wish you knew, worked on before going to Indoc? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I wish I knew. I didn't know anything about how to do any of the events in WaterCon, or how to swim properly, or even I didn't even know that there was a fin specific, not just freestyle swimming, but specifically finning. So that was a big thing for me. If I would have just known what the standards were, so that I can train to the standards, rather than just do random stuff that I did, then that would help me out a lot. David O. Smith, 4. What are some of the active duty station options? I know a lot of the reserve and guard stations, but haven't been able to find anything on where the active duty guys are. So active duty guys, you're going to have Davis Monthan, which is in Tucson, Arizona. You're going to have Nellis Air Force Base, which is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And you're going to have Moody, which is in Georgia. You're going to have the STS squadrons, which are Cannon in New Mexico. And the Florida Holbert Field it's near Destin, Florida. And then overseas, you're also going to have the STS squadron at Mildenhall, which I think is moving to Italy, and then the STS squadron over in Okinawa, which is in Japan. And then you're going to have RQS or rescue squadron in each one of those locations also. Let's see. Yes, I know Jay Rowland. He graduated about a year and a half or so ago, I think. Definitely a good dude. What interval times? All right, Malawasam, whatever her name is. All right, what interval times do I need to be at for underwaters? Also, training advice to make buddy breathing less heinous. So underwater times for the intervals, the highest you're going to go is up to 1:30 for 5 intervals, and that's going to be at Indoc. But I wouldn't recommend doing that by yourself because it's going to be, some guys end up passing out at that point. So for you, I wouldn't go anywhere past probably 2 minutes and 15 seconds. You don't really need to do that. You just need to feel a little bit of the pain so that you know what it's like, and really practice on your strokes. That's the most important thing. You want to get your strokes down to below 6 for a 25-meter underwater. Buddy breathing less heinous. Really, a lot of guys have trouble with focusing on holding onto the snorkel as tight as possible, as well as their buddy grip. So you want to hold on to your buddy grip and your snorkel as tight as possible while you're passing it, and you want your mouth and the rest of your body to stay as relaxed as possible. If you're one of those guys that sinks or whatever, you're going to give a couple kicks up to the surface so that you can get the snorkel above the water. If you're the guy that's on the top grip, you want to make sure that the snorkel is obviously out of water, and that's your main job. Keep snorkel out of the water while it's in your or your buddy's face. And then if you're on the bottom grip, then it's your job to shove that mouthpiece into your buddy's mouth. So you want your buddy to be like headbutting you pretty much, so that you're right next to each other and you have less distance to pass the snorkel to each other. So you want to make sure that you're passing also as quickly as possible, but also breathing as quick as possible. It should sound like every time you guys pass it. It should be quick like that. So just getting your mouth around the mouthpiece is a lot of times what guys have trouble with. So even if you're just in the pool by yourself, passing it back and forth and putting your mouth around it, blowing out the water, then you'll have a leg up. D-Basheda, are supplements allowed in Indoc? If so, what is it? What isn't? You're allowed to take whey protein, 100% whey protein, and then other than that, you're going to be given, we have a nutritionist that's on board for the staff, so you're going to have a bunch of snacks and stuff. We have like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I know, as crazy as it sounds, we have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We have Cliff Bars. We have apples, bananas, all that kind of stuff that you can throw in your ruck, and you can be ready to go for whatever training event. So no like pre-workout or any of that kind of stuff is allowed at Indoc. Mark Devlin, 30-plus-year-olds, they don't come through too often. Most of the time they don't quit though. So that's a good thing. The only problems they have is, it kind of catches up with them a little bit with the physical activity. But yeah, most of the guys I would say that are over 30 are successful. David O. Smith, what strokes should you be proficient at in the pool? So as far as swimming, on the surface, you're going to be good at your freestyle, your combat recovery stroke, and your fin. And the fin is, like I said a little bit earlier, your leading arm is up against your ear like this, and you're just taking breaths out of the water. Your trailing arm is right next to your side. Combat recovery stroke is kind of using this technique, down, down. You can view it on YouTube, just combat recovery stroke, so you can see what that kind of looks like. You're going to be doing that in your open water scenarios. We take you guys out to the lake and you swim up to 2,000 meters in an open water scenario, and it's part of the final grad standards actually. So JB22, how old were you when you started your PJ journey? I was 20 years old when I first enlisted in the military, so I wasn't super old, but I wasn't straight out of high school. Alright. D-Basheda, does DAP school have a nutrition rate similar to Indoc? It used to. When I went through, over half the guys that were at dive school ended up washing out and they got kicked out of the career field because of that. But now it's kind of more of a somewhat gentleman's course. There are still guys that fail out because of certain objectives like one-man comp or the open water swim because they mess up their nav points or whatever, but for the most part nobody gets washed out. I'd say it's probably at least 80% or higher graduation rate. Parker McCombs, will Indoc standards be posted on your website? Yes. AF Guardado, will they teach us some basic swimming before Indoc? I think they give you some pool time, like on the weekends and stuff like that, but I don't think they teach you much of swimming in basic training. But after you're done with basic training, you're going to have your swim coaches and stuff at Battlefield Airman Prep, which is the 8-week course that I was talking about a little bit earlier. So you'll have a little bit of time. And I've been talking to the lead swim coach for Battlefield Airman Prep. So I want to make sure that he's relaying all the stuff that we're doing over in Indoc, because we saw some guys that were pass failures after they came out of BA Prep and when they were taking the pass. So I want to make sure they're good to go. Let's see. JL Ruba Scuba broke up. Okay. Nice. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Breaking up with your girlfriend to go to PJ training. A lot of guys, whenever they end up going to the Indoc course, they're thinking about stuff that happened in their lives. Their girlfriend's kind of like in their ear, talking to them about how they're too busy, they never make time for them, all that kind of stuff. And if you do have a significant other, you need to make sure that she's on board with whatever you got going on. So it's going to take a lot of time. I mean, you're going to be gone for 6 weeks for basic training, 8 weeks for BA prep, and then another, 11 weeks with dev course, 2 weeks, and then Indoc, 9 weeks. So altogether, that's over 20 weeks that you're going to be gone, and you're going to be limited on time. You're going to be having team meetings. You're going to be trying to get good at whatever you're trying to do. So there's going to be time that you're not going to be able to talk to your significant other or whatever. So make sure you prepare them as much as possible for that. But getting back to your question, social life during the pipeline and while on active duty as a PJ. So during the pipeline, you're going to have plenty of time to go do whatever you want to do. There are going to be a couple field days and that kind of stuff. And going through paramedic school, like I said, you're going to be working your butt off like 3 hours a night. You should be studying, all that kind of stuff. But you will definitely have time to go meet people or do whatever you want to do, because you'll have time in between each school. So I wouldn't worry about that. But as a PJ, you're going to be hanging out with your team most of the time, especially for the first couple of years. So kind of expect that. But there's always time to make sure that your loved ones know that you actually care about them. There's always going to be time. We try and make sure that even on deployments, you have some kind of internet resource or something like that to talk to your family while you are deployed. So you can Skype or whatever. So we try as much as possible to get the connection with the family. And we also have programs back at the squadron where the families meet up and the kids play, all that kind of stuff. So we do our best to keep the families involved and let them know that we care. JB22. No, it's actually not stupid. If you can get penalized for passing out. So if you pass out, the first time you pass out completely, and there's a different term, so you can have a shallow water blackout or you can have a hypoxic episode. A hypoxic episode is where you kind of pass out and you're just, saying random words. You have like a twitch going on or whatever. We just kind of give you a slap and yell at you, say, hey, get with it, whatever it is. Shallow water blackout, so you black out while you're underwater and you just go completely unconscious. We're more worried about you inhaling water or whatever it is. So we end up sending you to the hospital, and if you have 2 of those shallow water blackouts, then you're kind of up for elimination in the course. So not that we want guys to pop all the time, but we want you to show confidence in the water. And there are some guys who have been eliminated because they couldn't complete the 50 meter underwater because they passed out every time. So there are some guys who are just randomly, kind of sucks, but genetically not fit to pass the course. Let's see. Milkman 661. Any moments where I second guess my decision as a PJ to be a PJ? Now, while I was a PJ, I don't think there was any time where I was like, "Why did I do this?" or any of that kind of stuff. After you get your first couple missions, you're like, "All right, this is definitely worth it." Whatever happened in the past, like Indoc, that was completely worth it, because really when you look back at it, even if you just complete Indoc, it's completely worth it, because you gain the confidence and you just feel like you can do anything out there in the world that you put your mind to. So I never second guessed my decision to be a PJ or anything like that. I have enjoyed my time as a PJ, and I've loved every minute of it. So resilient strength is BA prep replacing development course. Eventually that is going to be the goal, but I don't see it happening for another at least a year or so, because we've only had a couple classes go through for the BA prep, and honestly their numbers have been pretty low. There's only one guy who graduated from this last class that went through BA prep out of 25, so it's pretty bad numbers, so they can't replace development course in the near future based on those numbers. Is the Crow pass requirement different from the PJ pass? Yes, Saber Nation, the Crow pass requirements are different from the PJ pass. The Crow pass has a 3-mile run, a 1,500 meter swim. You're also going to be expected to run 8 miles at an 8-minute pace, and do a 6-mile ruck at a 15-minute pace. And that's just at the phase 2, the first day that you're going to be there. So I'll be ready for that. JC weightlifting December 1st. Yes, definitely the desired deadline for everything to be ready by. I'm going to create more workouts after I'm done with these workouts, but for you guys that are getting ready to go to Indoc and pass the pass tests, that is my deadline, and I'm definitely working towards that. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into this. I never started up a business before, so I didn't know exactly what it entailed, but definitely a lot goes into it. Let's see. AF Guardado. Will I have to do the paramedic portion if I already have a paramedic license? No, you will not have to do it as long as it's still a valid paramedic license and it hasn't lapsed. I will save this video so you guys can watch it again later. David O. Smith, Sierra School. There's a guy that was probably 250 plus pounds, and they called him like Mr. Atlas or something like that. I don't remember his face at all. I just remember his body being massive, and I was the first one to get slapped by him. What they do is put their hand on your shoulder like this when they're getting ready to slap you, and they're trying to ask me questions or whatever. So obviously his gigantic palm, probably double the size of my face, just slapped the shit out of me. Other than that, you can't really talk too much about the things that go on in SEER, but it is definitely a good time, and you're gonna freeze your balls off up there, but there's a lot to be learned from that. Let's see. Brian Jackson, process of cross-training from a crew chief stationed overseas to pararescue. You'd have to get with recruiters for that. I don't know the exact process for cross-training and that kind of stuff. The only thing I dealt with was some of the paperwork that the recruiters tried to get from me, and then when they showed up on the doorstep. So it's kind of hard for me to tell you. I don't want to mislead you. NJ Lancy, any memorable oh shit moments at Indoc? Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes on at Indoc. There's always a guy that poops in the pool, you know, for whatever reason, and he always does it. It's not like it's just a one-time occurrence. It's the same guy that every single time he's like, "Who got Sergeant? I got to go to the bathroom." So on my class, there's a guy that pooped in the pool, and that turd just kept on rolling, and we kept on doing our underwaters, watching that turd roll next to us. So that was one of the memorable moments, and then also. It was a sad moment, but it was definitely like, wow, this is a eye-opener. A guy he's around 40 years old. He was cross-training from being a C-130 pilot in Alaska to be a combat rescue officer, and he actually ended up dying in the pool during my class. That was like my first exposure to seeing anyone dying, and we were doing a duck walks around the pool and 50-meter underwaters and flutter kicks, all that kind of stuff. And we ended up just doing the 50-meter underwater. He had passed out before, but it was he just didn't come back this time, and they ended up saying that he had a heart condition from before. It runs in the family, that kind of stuff. So, you know, it just happens, but it kind of motivated me to do what I got to do and keep on pressing on. You know, he gave his life for me. He motivated me to be the person that I am today. So, you know, just keep on moving on, and don't expect that that's going to happen. It hasn't happened again after him, but yeah. So that was definitely a memorable moment, but don't be scared by that. Plenty of people pass out. I've saved dozens and dozens of people from passing, or after they've passed out, woke them up. They see my face, I yell at them, tell them to get back in the pool. So that'll be fine. Let's see. Dirty Dan. Do you have a lot of prior service people switching branches? Not a ton of guys. Usually there's about 10 per team or so out of the 50 to 70 guys, whoever shows up. So it's not a ton, but decent amount. But we look for them to help guide the guys get through the Indoc and the pipeline. Manual ND, is there a lot of work in the water in the TAC-P pipeline? Definitely not. The only thing that you're going to have to worry about is treading for the TAC-P pipeline. That's the only thing that I do. So Brandon Whalen, you shipped for CCT in January. 50-meter underwater is a requirement once you guys get to dive school. I don't know if they do a 50-meter underwater while they're at the selection course, but you're not going to go to dive school until after you go through pre-scuba, and I don't know exactly what they've done with the pre-scuba at this point, so I can't tell you exactly. JB22, yes, I saw a little bit of inside combat rescue. It really depends on if he's asking if a deployment's always intense like the show. It really depends on where you're going for a deployment. So there have been deployments where I just constant back-to-back going on missions or whatever it is, and there have also been deployments where it's just like, well, I guess I'm going to go work out again because nothing's going on here. So it kind of depends on where you're going, but you know, we're still going to be training, we're still going to be working out, we're still going to be getting ready, just constantly prepping gear, all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of depends. D. Basheda, what's the best part of the PJ pipeline? I don't know. It's all kind of what you make of it. People say that they hated airborne school, and I loved airborne school just because of the guys that I went through airborne school with. They're just awesome. We had a good time. Another good time, obviously, Halo school or free fall school is a lot of fun because you're just jumping out of planes for the first time. Honestly, every single part of it, just with the guys that you're going to be with, are just going to be a blast. So I can't say that any single one was the most fun because every single one had its own moments and why I liked it. Trav ISJ. When I say a 50 meter underwater, I mean you're going to be in a 50 meter pool for Indoc. So you're going to go from one end to the other end, and then you should be able to stand up on your own without being held up. For dive school, it's going to be a 25 meter pool. You're going to not get it push off the first wall, go swim to the deep end wall, push off of that wall, and then end up in the shallow end again, stand up on your own, sound off, "Huya, Sergeant, I feel fine," or "Sir," and then that's how the underwater goes. Mason Fitness, what are the jobs on the team of PJs? So it's really interchangeable. So if you're on a rescue, at a rescue squadron, there's going to be a combat rescue officer who's obviously in charge of the radios, out and up kind of stuff. PJ team leader, which is going to be in charge of the overall team on the ground and what's happening on the ground, relaying to the crow so that he can relay to the helicopter exactly what's going on. And then there's the element leader, which is if you're in a multiple helicopter formation, he's in the one that's behind the front one, and he's kind of controlling what happens in the back of that aircraft at the team leader's discretion. So there's team leader, element leader, combat rescue officer, and then other than that, we have the PJ team members, and each one of those can be used for whatever job we need them for. If I have 4 guys or whatever that are PJ team members, I'll say, you go do the extrication, you go do the medical treatment, you set up the CCP, and then you search for the rest of the bodies or whatever it is. So they're pretty interchangeable, and that's kind of how pararescue was designed. We want to be able to do whatever it is. Like if there's a task to be done, we're trained in it and we're ready to go. Tyler Robinson can kick off the wall during underwaters. Sometimes we change it up though. So sometimes you can't kick off the wall during underwaters, especially on the more difficult nights or days. Alejandra Aylett. Have any females completed the training? Nope, no females have even tried to complete the training so far. We haven't seen anybody show up to Indoc. I did hear of a female who was trying to do the combat rescue officer route, but she took the pass test and failed, so she didn't get anywhere close. Reaper Ninja, is there a specific stroke you have to use while swimming underwater? Yes, it's the keyhole stroke. So if you look that up, keyhole stroke, I'm sure you'll be able to find that for underwaters. How do you work your way up to a 50 meter underwater? At Indoc and somewhat through my course, you're going to do 25 meter underwaters at a decreasing interval down to 1 minute 30 seconds, and then you're also doing a million different things underwater. So really it's just building up that confidence to hold your breath and make sure that you can stay calm in a stressful situation, and that takes a lot of time. David O. Smith, is it a 50 meter pool at Indoc or a 25 meter pool? We have both. I think by the time that you guys get here, it's probably going to be using the 25 meter pool. Right now we're using the 50 meter pool exclusively, but it's going to go down for maintenance, just like the 25 meter pool is down for maintenance right now. So we're going to flip flop over to the other pool. So I wouldn't say that you need to train for any specific, and the way that the lesson plans are written, we want to be able to train to any pool or anything. Really, we should be able to just use any body of water to train guys for PJs. We also have even used a college pool, which is like 100 meters or whatever. It was a gigantic pool, and it was 15 feet deep. Even though we didn't make the students go all the way down to 15 feet, it's still there. So I wouldn't train, it doesn't matter what size of pool, as long as you get in the pool. Heath shooting, any big difference in training recommendations to get ready for CCT versus PJ? CCT, you're going to do a little bit more rucking, and for the selection course, really it's going to be a lot of calisthenic stuff and not a lot of water confidence stuff. So that's just what I've seen. I've seen their Hell Night or whatever, and it's really just land ball smoker. So Tyler Robinson, what's a good way to mentally prepare for Indoc? Like I said, just the long, tough training days. That's going to be part of my workouts. Like going from a run to cows to a fin or swim, and then into a water con. That'll help you mentally prepare for Indoc. Adventure traveler, once a female makes it, how do you think the dynamic of the team will change? I think it's going to be kind of hard at first for the dynamic of the team, but it's just like anybody else. Like when I show up to the team and I'm a new guy or whatever, I need to make sure that I show that my worth is there. Like anytime that we're on a training event or we're on a mission or whatever, I'm the first to do whatever has to be done. I'm the first to pick up the team gear. I'm the first to take out the trash, all that kind of stuff. Just don't feel like you're entitled. And I think that even if you're a woman or whatever, and you show people that you are willing to play the role of a team member, and you're a new guy or a girl to the team, so pay your dues, be squared away, show people that you're there to train and that you're there exclusively to do your job, then I don't think that you'll have any problems whatsoever. Obviously, there'll be a couple like logistic stuffs of bathrooms or sleeping arrangements or whatever, that kind of stuff, but I think it'll end up being resolved at the end. And especially, the leadership, if there is any shit talking or whatever, they should squash that as soon as possible. So, it'll be unique and different, but I'm sure as long as you have the right team leader, talk to your commander, that kind of stuff, I'm sure your commander is going to want to talk to you, being one of the first female PJs or whatever. So, just roll with it, play the team member role, and be squared away. Really study up on your stuff, and no one can question you. Jack downtown, do a lot of PJs get PTSD. There are a lot of PJs that end up getting PTSD. I wouldn't say like the majority or anything like that, but there's a small amount that end up getting PTSD, and it kind of is what it is. Most guys end up getting better, and they'll do all right. Beckham. This facial hair is because I'm still on leave. I'm going back to work tomorrow. JB22, is a pass something you could take more than once? Yes, but not in a row. So if you fail the pass on the first day that you show up after BA prep, which is when you take the pass, you'll take the pass the Friday that you graduate BA prep. You'll take the pass test, and we'll all be out there, the Indoc staff, to count all your calisthenics. So if you fail that pass test, most likely you're not going to get another chance. I would say maybe like 1 to 2% of people end up ever getting another chance to take the pass, and then you're going to get another chance in 8 weeks, only if the commandant interviews you and he feels like you're a good candidate and it was really extenuating circumstance, like I said earlier. But I wouldn't count on that, taking the pass again. CT Alpha, so 12 foot is the deepest at Indoc. How many knots should we know how to tie? Honestly, I wouldn't even focus on tying knots unless you have everything completely squared away. If you're good on all your underwaters, you got them under 6 strokes, you have your mast and snorkel up to 30 meters without breaking the seal on your snorkel, and you're sounding off, who you have, Sergeant, I feel fine. You don't have water in your mask, you're ascending properly. Then you have your buddy breathing where you're not coughing. You can confidently pass back and forth with someone splashing at you and pushing you and all that kind of stuff. You have your treading down. If you have all those 4 events down, your underwaters, your buddy breathing, your mask snorkel, and your treading, then you can try and tie some knots. I don't see a lot of guys failing knots or anything like that, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if you really wanted to get into the weeds, then I would tie. There are 5 knots you need to do at Indoc. You do the bowline, or inside bowline. You do the square knot, you do the girth hitch with an extra turn, you do a fisherman's knot, and a clove hitch. So those are 5 knots you do at Indoc. David O. Smith 4. The podcast series on medical stuff is by Doc Rush. and I'm sure that he would love you guys. He has a lot of good info on there. He has some info from different guys in the career field, missions that they went on, all that kind of stuff. So look that up. I think it's a PJ Med Doc Rush podcast. Yeah, there's plenty of reserve options for PJs. Yes to Patrick. There's Portland, Davis-Monthan, and a couple other places. I'm sure you can find those online. All right, Xander Orqua. Trouble clearing your ears as I go deeper in the water. There are some guys that I know that actually got through Indoc and dove and all that kind of stuff, and got through to the unit that had trouble clearing their ears. I think that they ended up having to get a surgery done in order to help clear their ears, because that can obviously be a problem if you're trying to do a dive with the rest of your team and then you can't go as deep as the rest of the guys. So I think you might have to actually go see a doctor and get that fixed before you end up coming through. We're only going to 12 feet though. If you can stand 12 feet and get your foot in the door and then afterwards get the surgery done, then that might be an option also. Let's see. JB22, yes, I actually just ordered my shirts a couple of days ago. So they're going to be in hopefully December 22nd, I think they said. So I have my shirts in there. I'm going to sell some stickers and decals and stuff like that. There's going to be a free smaller sticker that's going to go with whatever you order, if you order a shirt or a decal. So I'm going to have a couple things to start out with. But I have to, put the money down. So I'm going to make sure that I have enough money to buy that stuff. Last couple questions. Chris and Kim Wheeler. Is there a comprehensive training prep list to go by for prepping for Indoc? I'm going to put that out on my website on exactly what kind of workouts you're going to be doing at Indoc and how to prep, all that kind of stuff. I went over my gear stuff earlier for the workout, so if you want to get going into that, then buy your material so that you're ready. Whenever the website hits the ground, then you're ready to hit the ground doing the workouts. Let's see. No, I don't have any patches yet. That's one of the things that I'm going to start doing later on once I start getting enough money to buy some inventory. Austin Swolski, 07. What is the optimum time for the 500-meter surface swim? You want to do your surface swim specific for the pass test in 10:07. Many firefighters come through. We've had a couple guys, honestly not a ton. There's a lot of lifeguards, a lot of water polo players, that kind of stuff. Chase Bonslet, yes, I would recommend training with a weight vest, but only if you've worked up to training with a weight vest. I wait, like when I haven't worked out or whatever, I haven't had time to work out, I do my cals and body weight stuff first, and then afterwards I do my weight vest after I get my calisthenic numbers up and I feel like my muscles have adapted enough so that I can do the weight vest. I don't want you guys to actually get hurt while you're trying to do your weight vest stuff. But again, in my workouts, you're working up to it, and I want to make sure that you guys are ready to go when it gets to the weight vest part. Benjamin since 99. Is there any possible way to do college while in PJs? Yes, definitely. You will have time to do college. Probably not the first year because you want to get the job down, but after that, you can do your college. No problem. Plenty of guys get the degrees. Mark Hall, biggest difference between Crow and PJ. Obviously, one's an officer, one's enlisted, and then also Crows do not get the paramedic training and PJs do. Single best piece of advice for a hopeful at the Ruthless group. Like I said on my post earlier today, make sure that you find your why and you stick to it, help your teammates, and think about them, not yourself. All right, I got to go. It's saying I only have 5 seconds left. Thank you guys for watching again. I'll try and do another one next week, and save up your questions, write them down, and I'll get back.